Secrets, a new commentary. Discourse number 24, given in Bombay, India.
Is it that there are only two alternatives before man? A life of abiding sorrow and suffering, or one of dignity and bliss? And this choice lies with him. How is it that most have chosen the path of sorrow and suffering? It is a very significant question, but very delicate also. The first thing to be understood is, a life is very paradoxical. And because of that, many things happen. These are the two alternatives. Either man can be in heaven or hell. And there is no third possibility. Either you can be in deep suffering, or you can be without suffering and in deep bliss. These are the only two possibilities, two openings, two doors, two modes of being. Then the question necessarily arises, why man chooses to be in suffering? Man never chooses to be in suffering. Man always chooses to be in bliss. And there comes the paradox. If you choose to be in bliss, you will be in suffering. Because to be in bliss means to be choiceless. This is the problem. If you choose to be in bliss, you will be in suffering. If you don't choose, you simply remain a witness non-choosing, you will be in bliss. So it is not a question of choosing between bliss and suffering. Deep down it is a question of choosing between choosing and non-choosing. Why it happens that whenever you choose, you are in suffering? Because choice divides life. Something has to be cut and thrown away. You don't accept the total. You accept something in it and you deny something. That's what choice means. And life is the totality. If you choose something and deny something, that which you deny will come over you. Because life cannot be divided. And that which you deny, just because you deny it, becomes a powerful thing over you. You really become afraid of it. Nothing can be denied. You can only close your eyes to it. You can only escape. You can become inattentive towards it. But it is always there hidden, waiting for the moment to assert. So if you deny suffering, if you say, I am not going to choose suffering, in a subtle way you have chosen it. No, it will be always around you. One thing. Second thing, life is totality, first thing, and life is change, second thing. These are basic truths. You cannot divide life. Secondly, nothing is stagnant and nothing can be. So when you say that I am not going to suffer, I am going to choose a blissful mode of living, you will cling to happiness. And whenever you cling to something, you want it, you hope it to be permanent. And nothing can be permanent in life. Life is a flux. So when you cling to happiness, you are creating again suffering. Because this happiness will pass away. Nothing can remain. It is a river. And the moment you cling to a river, you are creating a situation in which you will be frustrated because the river will move. And sooner or later you will find that the river has gone far away. It is not now with you. Your hands are empty and your heart is frustrated. If you cling to bliss, there will be moments of bliss. But they are going to pass away. Life is a flux. Nothing can be permanent here, except you. Except you, nothing is eternal here. And you cling to a changing thing, and when it is gone, you will suffer. Not only that, when it is gone, you will suffer. If you have the mind of clinging, while it is there, you will not be able to enjoy it. Because you will be constantly afraid. It is going to be lost. If you cling, you will miss the opportunity also. Later on, you will suffer. And right now, you will not enjoy. Because the fear is just around the corner. Sooner or later, it is to go. The guest has come to your house, and you know he is a guest. And tomorrow morning, he will leave. You will start suffering for the future. Tomorrow morning, he will leave. And that pain, that suffering, that anguish has come upon you right now. You cannot be happy while the guest is in your home. While the guest is with you, you cannot be happy because you are already in anxiety and anguish. Tomorrow morning, he leaves. So while he is there, you will not be happy, and when he is gone, you will be unhappy. This is what is happening. The first thing, life cannot be divided. If you divide, only then you can choose. And that which you choose is flux-like. Sooner or later it will be gone. And that which you have denied, which fall over you, you cannot escape it. You cannot say, I will live only in the days and I will escape the nights. You cannot say, I will live only with the ingoing breath and I will not allow the outgoing breath. Life is a rhythm of opposites. The breath comes in and goes out. Between these two opposites, ingoing and outgoing, you exist. Suffering is there, happiness is there. Happiness is lying in, just like incoming breath. Suffering is just lying outgoing breath. Our day and night, the rhythm of opposites. You cannot say, I will live only if I am happy. When I am not happy, I will not live. You can take this attitude, but this attitude will make you more suffer. No one chooses suffering, remember. You ask why man has chosen to suffer. No one has chosen to suffer. You have chosen not to suffer. You have chosen to be happy. And you have chosen hard. You are doing everything how to be happy. And that's why you are in suffering. You are not happy. So what is to be done? Remember that life is total. You cannot choose. The whole life has to be lived. There will be moments of happiness and there will be moments of suffering. And both have to be lived. You cannot choose. Because life is both. Otherwise the rhythm will be lost. And without rhythm there will be no life. It is just like music. You hear some music. There are notes, sounds. And after each sound there is silence. A gap. Because of that gap, interval of silence and the sound, both the opposite, sound and silence, music is created. If you say, I will choose only sounds and I am not to take the gaps, there will be no music. It will be a monotonous thing. It will be dead. Those gaps give life to sound. This is the beauty of life, that through opposites it edges. Sound and silence, sound and silence. That creates music, the rhythm. The same is with life. Suffering and happiness are two opposites. You cannot choose. If you choose, you have become a victim. You will suffer. If you become aware of this totality of the opposites and the way how life functions, you don't choose. First thing. And when you don't choose, there is no need to cling. There is no meaning to cling. When suffering comes, you enjoy the suffering. And when happiness comes, you enjoy the happiness. When the guest is at home, you enjoy him. And when he has gone, you enjoy the suffering, the absence, the pain. I say enjoy both. This is the path of wisdom. Enjoy both, don't choose. Whatsoever falls upon you, accept it. It is your fate. It is how life is. And nothing can be done about it. If you take this attitude, there is no choosing. You have become choiceless. And when you are choiceless, you will become aware of yourself. Because now you are not worried about what happens. So you are not outgoing. You are not worried about what is happening around you. Whatsoever happens, you will enjoy it. You will live it. You will go through it. You will experience it. And you will gain something out of it, because every experience is an extension of consciousness. If really there is no suffering, you will be poor for it. Because suffering gives you depth. A man who has not suffered will always remain on the surface. Suffering gives you depth. Really, if there is no suffering, you will be saltless. You will be nothing. Just a boring phenomenon. Suffering gives you tone. A keenness, a quality comes to you, which only suffering can give, no happiness can give. A man who has remained always in happiness, in comfort, has not suffered, will not have any tone. He will be just a lump of being. There cannot be any depth. Really, there cannot be any heart. The heart is created through suffering, through pain. You evolve. If a man has only suffered, and he has not known any happiness, then too, he will not be rich. Because richness comes through opposites. The more you move in opposites, the higher, the deeper you evolve. A man who has simply suffered will become a slave. Who has not known any moments of happiness will not be really alive. He will become an animal. He will just exist anyhow. There will be no poetry, no song in the heart, no hope in the eyes. He will settle down to his pessimistic existence. There will be no struggle, no adventure. He will not move. He will be simply a stagnant pool of consciousness. And a stagnant pool of consciousness is not conscious. By and by he will become unconscious. That's why if there is too much pain, you fall unconscious. So just happiness will not be of much help. There will be no challenge. Just pain will not be of much growth. Because there will be nothing to struggle, to hope, to dream. There will be no fantasy. Both are needed. And life exists between both as a very delicate tension, a subtle tension. If you understand this, then you don't choose. Then you know how life functions, how life is. This is the way. This is the way of life. It moves through happiness, it moves through suffering, and gives you tone, and gives you meaning, and gives you depth. So both are good. I say both are good. I don't say choose between the two. I say both are good, don't choose. Rather, enjoy both. Rather, allow both to happen. Be open, without any resistance. Don't cling to one and don't resist the other. Let no resistance be your motto. I will not resist life. Whatsoever life gives to me, I will be ready to take it, available. And I will enjoy it. The nights are also good and beautiful. And suffering has a beauty of its own. No happiness can have that beauty. Darkness has its own beauty. They have its own beauty. There is no comparison and there is no choice. Both have their own dimensions to work. The moment this consciousness arises in you, you will not choose. You will be just a witness. And you will enjoy. This choicelessness will become bliss. This choicelessness will become bliss. Bliss is not contrary to suffering. Bliss is a quality which you can bring to anything whatsoever, even to suffering. A Buddha cannot suffer. That doesn't mean that suffering doesn't happen to him. Remember, suffering happens as much to Buddha as it happens to you. But he cannot suffer because he knows the art to enjoy it. He cannot suffer because he remains blissful. Even in suffering, he remains festive, meditative, alive, enjoying, open, non-resistant. Suffering happens to him, but he is not touched. Suffering comes and goes, just like breath coming in and going. He remains himself. The suffering cannot push him aside. The suffering cannot push him off his feet. Nothing can push him. Neither suffering nor happiness. You act just like a pendulum. Everything pushes you. Everything. You cannot be really even happy, because happiness will also kill you. You get so involved in it. I remember, once it happened, a poor schoolmaster, very poor, old, retired, won a lottery. The wife was afraid. And she thought, this is going to be too much for the old man. 5 lakhs of rupees is too much for him. Even a 5 rupee note gives him so much happiness. So 5 lakhs of rupees, they may kill him. So she ran to the church, there's a nearby church, and went to the priest and said that this has happened. And the old man is out and he will be just coming. This is his time to be back. So do something, 5 lakhs of rupees, just the news will kill him. The priest said, don't be afraid, I know human mind and the way how it functions. I know the psychology, I will come. So the priest came to the house. The moment they reached, the old man had come. So the priest started. He said, suppose, if you win a lottery of 5 lakhs of rupees, what you will do? The old man's thought wandered over it and he said, I will give half of the money to the church. The priest fell dead. It was too much. Even happiness will kill you. Because you get so involved. You cannot remain out of anything. Suffering or happiness, whatsoever comes to your door. You get so much involved in it, you are just pushed off your feet. You are no more there. Just a breeze comes in the house and you are no more there. What I am saying, if you don't choose, if you remain alert and aware that this is how life is, days and nights, they come and go, suffering and happiness, you just witness. There is no clinging, no hankering for happiness, no escape from suffering. You remain in yourself centered, rooted. This is what bliss is. So remember, bliss is not something opposite to suffering, and don't think when you will be blissful, there will be no suffering. Nonsense. Suffering is part of life. It ceases only when you are not. When you completely disappear from the body, suffering ceases. When there is no birth, suffering ceases. But when you are lost in the totality, then you are no more. Just a drop has fallen into the ocean and is no more. While you are, suffering will continue. It is part of life. But you can become aware. When suffering happens somewhere around you, but it never happens to you. But then happiness also never happens to you. Don't think that happiness will go on happening to you and suffering will not happen. Both will not happen to you. They will just happen around. Just on the periphery. And you will be centered in yourself. You will see them happening. You will enjoy them happening. But they will happen around you, they will not happen to you. And this becomes possible if you don't choose. That's why I said this is delicate, subtle. Because of the paradoxical life, you choose happiness and you fall in suffering. You try to escape from suffering and more suffering is invited. So you can take it as an ultimate law. Whatsoever you choose, the opposite will be your fate. I say as an ultimate law. Whatsoever you choose, the opposite will be your fate. So whatsoever is your fate, remember, you have chosen it by choosing the opposite. If you are suffering, you have chosen your suffering by choosing happiness. Don't choose happiness and suffering disappears. Don't choose at all. Then nothing can happen to you. And everything is a flux except you. That has to be understood very deeply. Only you are the constant factor in existence, nothing else. Only you are the eternity, nothing else. Your awareness never is a flux. Suffering comes, you witness it. When happiness comes, you witness it. Then nothing comes, you witness it. Only one thing remains constant, witnessing. And witnessing is you. You were a child. Or if you move even more backwards, once you were just an atomic cell. You cannot even imagine. Just an atomic cell in your mother's womb. Not even visible by naked eyes. If that cell comes before you and encounter it, you will not be able to recognize that once you were this. Then you were a child. Then you became young. Then now you are old, or lying on your deathbed. Many things happen. Whole life has been a flux. Nothing remained the same for even 2 moments. Heraclitus says you cannot step twice in the same river. And this he says, for the river of life, you cannot have 2 similar moments. The moment that has gone cannot be repeated. It has gone forever. You cannot have it again. The same cannot exist. in such a great flux, only one thing within you remains the same. The witnessing. If you could witness in your mother's womb, the quality of consciousness would be the same. If you could have witnessed when you were a child, the quality of witnessing would be the same. Young are dying, just dying on your bed. If you can witness, the quality of consciousness will be the same. Only one thing within deep down in you is your witnessing self, your consciousness. That remains the same. Everything else changes. And if you cling to any object of the world of change, you will suffer. Nothing can be done about it. You are trying to do the impossible, that's why you suffer. I know, you never choose. But that's not the point. If you suffer, you have chosen it indirectly. Once you become aware of this indirectness of life, this paradoxical quality of life, you will stop choosing. When choice falls, the world has disappeared. When choosing falls, you have entered the absolute. But that is possible only when the choosing mind disappears completely. A choiceless awareness is needed, and then you will be in bliss. Rather, you will be the bliss. And I will repeat again, suffering will continue to happen. But now, nothing can make you suffer. Even if you are thrown into the hell, suddenly, just by your presence there, for you, it will no more be a hell. Someone has asked Socrates that where would you like to go? So Socrates says, if there is hell and heaven, I don't know, he says, whether they are not. But I will not choose between them. My only prayer will be this: allow me to be alert wherever I am. Let me be fully aware wherever I am. Whether it is hell or heaven, that is irrelevant. Because if you are fully alert, hell disappears. Hell is your being not aware. If you are fully aware, heaven appears. Heaven is your being fully aware. So really, there is no geographical place as hell or heaven. And don't go on thinking in childish terms that someday you will die and God will send you to heaven or hell according to your doings whatsoever you have done on the earth. No. You carry your hell and heaven within you. So wherever you move, you carry your hell or heaven with you. Even God cannot do anything. If suddenly you meet him, he will look like a hell. You carry your hell within you. You project it wherever you are. You will suffer. The encounter will be just death-like. Intolerable. You may become unconscious. You carry. Whatsoever happens to you, you carry within you. The seed of consciousness is the seed of whole existence. So remember, if you suffer, you have chosen it consciously, unconsciously, directly, indirectly. You have chosen it. It is your choice. And you are responsible. No one else is responsible. But in our mind, in our confused mind, everything is upside down. If you suffer, you think you suffer because of others. You suffer because of you. No one can make you suffer. That is impossible. And even if someone makes you suffer, it is your choice to be in suffering through him. You have chosen him. And you have chosen a particular type of suffering through him. No one can make you suffer. It is your choice. But you always go on thinking that if the other changes, or if the other is doing something else, I will not suffer. I have heard Mullah Nasruddin was filling a report because he had collided, his car had collided with a car parked. So he was filling a report. Many things were asked. When he came to the point where it was asked what the operator of the other vehicle could have done to avoid the accident, so he felt it, he should have parked the car somewhere else. The car was parked. He should have parked it somewhere else. Because of him, the accident has happened. And this is what you are doing. Always the other is responsible. He must have done something or other, and there would have been no suffering. No, the other is not responsible at all. You are responsible. And unless you take this responsibility consciously upon you, you will not change. The change will become possible, easily possible, the moment you realize that you are responsible for it. If you have suffered, it was your choice. This is what the law of karma is. Nothing else. Wholly you are responsible. Whatsoever happens, suffering or happiness or hell or heaven, whatsoever happens, ultimately you are totally responsible. This is what the law of karma is. Total responsibility is with you. But don't be afraid, don't be scared by it. Because if the total responsibility is with you, then suddenly a door of freedom opens. Because if you are the cause of your suffering, you can change. If others are the cause, then you cannot change. Then how can you change unless the whole world changes? You will suffer. And there seems to be no way to change others. Then suffering cannot end. But we are so pessimistic that even such beautiful doctrines as law of karma, we interpret them in such a way that they don't free and liberate us. Rather on the contrary, they make us more burdened. In India, the law of karma has been known for at least 5,000 years, or even more. But what we have done, not that we have taken responsibility on ourselves, we have thrown all responsibility on the law of karma. that it is happening because of law of karma and we cannot do anything. Nothing can be done. Because of the past lives, this life is such. The law of karma was to free you. It was giving you total freedom about yourself. No one else can make any suffering for you. This was the message. If you are suffering, you have created it. You are the master of your fate. And immediately if you want to change it, you can change it. And the life will be different. But the attitude, I have heard, once two friends were talking. One was a bona fide optimist, another a bona fide pessimist. Even the optimist was not too much happy about the situation. The optimist said that if this economic crisis continues, and these political catastrophes continue, and the world remains the same as it is, immoral, then we are going to be reduced to begging soon. Even he was not too hopeful about it. The optimist, when he said we are going to be reduced to begging, the pessimist said, to whom? To whom you are going to beg if this condition continues? You have a mind, and you go on bringing your mind to everything. Really, you transform the quality of every teaching and doctrine. You defeat Buddhas, Krishnas, so easily, because you convert the whole thing. You color it in your own way. You are totally responsible for whatsoever you are and in whatsoever world you are living. It's your creation. If this goes deep in you, you can change everything. You need not suffer. Don't choose. Be a witness. And bliss will happen to you. Bliss is not a dead state. Suffering will go on continuing around you. So it is not a question what happens to you, it is a question how you are. The total ultimate meaning comes from you, not from the happening. Second question. Last night you talked about boredom. How can we hope for an enlightened society when in order to maintain society most people must perform boring, monotonous and repetitive tasks? Again, nothing is boring. Nothing is repetitive and monotonous. You are. And you bring your quality to everything that you do. No act is boring in itself. And no act can be non-boring in itself. It is you who make it boring or non-boring. And the same act can be a boredom to you. And the same act can be a boredom to you. This moment and the next moment it may become a blissful thing. Not that the act has changed. Your mood, the quality you bring to the act has changed. So remember, you are not bored because repetitive acts have to be done. Rather on the contrary, you are bored, that's why they appear repetitive. For instance, children want to repeat things. They go on playing the same game again and again. You get bored with what you are doing. The same game again and again. They go on asking for the same story. And they enjoy it again and again. And they say, tell Mom, that story again. What is the matter? You cannot conceive. It looks stupid. It is not. They are so alive. Nothing is repetitive for them. You are dead. And everything is repetitive to you. They go on repeating the same game the whole day they can go on. And if you stop them, they will scream and cry and they will resist. They don't disturb our game. And you cannot understand what they are doing the whole day. They have a different quality of consciousness. Nothing is repetitive to them. They enjoy it so much. The very enjoyment changes the quality. And then they enjoy it again. And they enjoy it more. Because now they know the know-how. And third time they enjoy it even more. Because they are acquainted now about everything. They go on enjoying, the enjoyment goes on increasing. Your enjoyment goes on decreasing. What is the matter? Whether the act itself is boring? Or something is wrong with your mode of being, mode of consciousness. Look at it from another angle. Two lovers will go on repeating the same acts every day. They will kiss and they will hug. And they are the same act. And they would like to go on doing that ad infinitum. To the very end of existence. If you give them time, they will go on repeating. Looking at two lovers, you will get bored. What they are doing? The same thing every day. And if you give them the whole day, they will go on doing, hugging, loving, embracing, kissing. What they are doing. But lovers have again become children. That's why love is so innocent. It makes you again a child. No, they are enjoying the game. They are again children, back. The whole nonsense of maturity they have thrown. They are playing with each other's body. And to them, nothing is repetitive. Each kiss is something absolutely new, unique. It was never so before. It will never be the same again. Each moment of love has its own individual existence, non-repetitive. That's why they go on enjoying. The economic law of diminishing returns doesn't apply to it. for love, no law of diminishing returns, rather increasing returns. That's why economics cannot understand love. Mathematicians cannot understand love. All those who are efficient in calculation, they cannot understand love because this is absurd. It defies all laws, all mathematics. It goes on increasing. When I was a student, my teacher of economics, when he explained us about the law of diminishing returns, I told him that about love. What do you say about love? He became disturbed. And when I said that just the contrary, law of increasing returns applies to love, he told me you got out of the class. You cannot understand economics. He said this law is universal. I said only you don't say it is universal because about love. Two lovers appear to us as repeating. To them they are not repeating. But to a prostitute, the law of economics will apply. Because for her love is not love, it is a commodity. Something to be sold. Something which can be purchased. So for a prostitute, if you go and kiss her, it is boredom, repetition. And she will say someday that this is nonsense, I am bored of being kissed and kissing the whole day. It is intolerable. Because she will say, because of a repetitive act. This is what I want to bring you the distinction. For a lover, it is not repetitive. For a prostitute, it is repetitive. So really, the act itself is not repetitive. It is your quality you bring to it. Whatsoever you do, if you love it, it will never be repetitive. If you love your doings, your acts, there will be no boredom. But you don't love. I go on talking to you every day. I can go on ad infinitum. I love it. It is not repetitive for me. From eternity to eternity, I can go on talking with you. Communication. To communicate with your heart is love to me. It is not a repetitive act. Otherwise, I will get bored. I have heard one small child went with his father and mother to the church one Sunday. Then the next. On the third Sunday, this little child asked his father, the God must be getting bored because the same faces every day in the church. For 3 Sundays we have been coming here. The same faces. The God must be getting bored. Seeing them every Sunday, turning up again and again. But the God is not bored. The whole existence has been repeating continuously. It looks repetition to us, but if there is a being, a total being, something like a God, he is not bored. If he is bored, there is no need to continue. He can stop. He can say no more. He can say finished. But he is not bored. Why? He loves. Whatsoever is happening is the love. He is a creator, not a worker, not a laborer. He is a creator. A Picasso is not bored. He is a creator. If your act becomes creation, you will not be bored. And your act becomes creation if you love it. But the basic difficulty is you cannot love whatsoever you do because you hate yourself. That's the problem. So whatsoever you do, you hate it. Because basically you hate yourself. You have not yet accepted yourself. You have not yet thanked existence for your existence. From your heart there is no thank you towards God. Really, you have a grudge. That why you created me? Deep down you go and asking why I have been thrown into existence. What is the purpose? Think. If suddenly God meets you, what will be the first question you will ask? You will ask why you created me? To suffer? To be in agony? To be unnecessarily wandering through lives and lives? Why you created me? Answers. You have not accepted yourself, so how you can accept your acts? Love yourself. Accept as you are. Because act is secondary. It flows from your being. If I love myself, then whatsoever I do, I love it. And if I don't love, I stop it. What is the need to continue? But you don't love. And the source is unloved. So the products of that source cannot be loved. So whatsoever you do, you may be an engineer, or you may be a doctor, or a chemist, or a scientist, or whatsoever. Whatsoever you do, you will bring hate to it. Your hate makes it repetitive. You hate it. And you go on finding excuses why you are doing it. You say, I'm doing it for my wife, for my children. And your father was doing for you, and his father was doing for him. And your children will do for their children. And no one will enjoy life. These are tricks. You are simply covered. You cannot escape from it. Because it gives you security, safety, income, bank balance. Because you are a coward, you cannot stop doing it. And you cannot start doing that which you love. And then you go and put in everything on your children, on your wife, and they are also. Ask the child, he is going to school bored. He says, I'm going for my father. He feels happy. If I don't go, he feels very miserable. And your wife, she is doing everything just for you and the children. No one is really existing for himself. No one loves himself to exist for it. Then everything goes wrong. The source is poisoned. And all that comes out of that source is poisoned. And don't think that if you change your job, you will love it. No. You will bring your quality to the new job also. In the beginning, it may be a sensation, something new, but sooner or later you will settle down. And the same. Change yourself. Love yourself. And love whatsoever you do, howsoever small. It makes no difference. I am reminded. It happened when Abraham Lincoln became for the first time the president. The first day when he was inaugurating the Senate. Someone who was very jealous of his power, prestige, success. He stood and he said to Abraham Lincoln, Lincoln, don't forget that your father was a shoemaker. It was absolutely irrelevant. Absurd. And the man who said this, he said, your father was a shoemaker. And he used to make shoes for my family. Don't forget him. It was just to insult him. And the whole Senate laughed because everyone was jealous. Deep down everyone was feeling that this chair belonged to me. And this man has usurped it. Necessarily, whenever someone succeeds, he succeeds in some cunning way. Only you succeed rightly. This is how he adjusts to other successes. Cunning. Some wrong techniques. Somehow he has reached. This is how we can tolerate and console ourselves. So the whole Senate laughed. But Abraham Lincoln said something which is beautiful. He said, it is so good of you that you made you remember my father. I know he was a shoemaker. But I have not seen such a shoemaker. He was unique. He was a creator. Because he loved shoemaking. And I cannot think myself as successful as he was, because I don't love this president so much as he loved shoemaking. He enjoyed it. He was blissful. I will never be so blissful in this presidency as he was just as a shoemaker. But why you have remembered him this moment? I know, said Abraham Lincoln, that my father was making shoes for your family. But they never complained. So I hope the shoes were all right. But you remember him in this moment without any relevance. I feel some shoe is still pinching. I am his son, I can repair it. If you love yourself, if you love your work, you live in a different milieu. In that milieu, nothing is repeated. The repetition appears only to a bored mind. So don't say that you are bored because of repetitive acts. Acts appear repetitive because you are bored. Then whatsoever you do will appear repetitive. But look at life. Life enjoys repetition. The seasons move in a circle. The sun moves in a circle. Every day. Every morning it arises. And the summer comes, and the winter comes, and the rains come, and they go on moving. The whole existence in a deep way is repetitively moving. It seems creation is just like a child's play. And the trees are not bored. And the skies are not bored. The sky never says, now again the clouds. For so many millennia, the sky has been seeing the clouds. Every rainy season and the clouds come and they start moving. Look at life. It is repetitive. The word is not good. The word repetitive is not good. Rather, it will be better to say, it goes on playing the same game. It enjoys it so much that it wants to repeat it again. And it goes on increasing. It goes on moving towards a climax. Why? Man gets bored about repetition. Not because repetition is boring, but because you are so bored. Everything will be boring. Once it happened that Sigmund Freud was asking a patient questions, just the preliminary, the basic questions before a psychoanalysis can start. So he asked that look at the bookcase. And what do you immediately remember seeing it? The man looked at the books, really not looking at all, and he said, it reminds me of a woman, a beautiful woman. So it was good for Freud because it was falling under his theory, because everything is sexual. So he said, okay. Then he took his handkerchief and said, look at this, what this reminds you. Immediately, whatever comes to your mind. The man laughed and said, a beautiful woman. Freud was overenjoyed. Really, that was his theory. That every man is basically concerned with sex and nothing else. Man thinks of woman, woman thinks of man. That's all thinking. So he said, look at the door. There was no one at the door. Even in the street, there was no one moving. He said, look, there is no one. This absence, what you feel, what you immediately remember, he said, a beautiful woman. Now, even Freud was a little disturbed, whether this man is just deceiving him or what. So he said, it seems too much. Everything makes you remember a woman. The man said, that is not the point. That is not the point, whether a bookcase or a handkerchief or an empty door. That is not the point. Really, I never think except of women. I never think. So whatever you say is irrelevant. I think only of women. Not that everything makes me remind. I am thinking only of women. It is not a question of any reminding. So really, it is not a question that this act makes you bored, or that act makes you bored, or repetition, or monotony, or tedious jobs make you bored. The real thing is you are bored, whether you do something or not. If you are simply relaxing in a chair, you will be bored. Not doing anything, you will be bored. You will say, nothing to do, I'm bored. Nothing to do, I'm bored. The whole week you are bored because of the tedious job. And in the weekend you are bored because nothing to do. The whole life you are bored because the repetitive job doing in a factory, in an office, in a shop. And then when you get retired, you are bored because now nothing to do. So it is not a question. Something is not creating boredom in you. You are bored, and you go and bring in your boredom to everything that you touch. You have heard of the king Midas? Whatsoever he touches, it becomes gold. You are also a king Midas. Whatsoever you touch, it becomes gold. You have an alchemical touch. Everything you can change into a board. Everything I say. So don't think of changing jobs, actions. Think of changing the quality of your consciousness. Be more loving to yourself. The first thing to remember is be more loving to yourself. The moralists have poisoned the whole world. They say don't love yourself. This is selfishness. Love others. Don't love yourself. The love of the self is sin. And I say to you, this is absolute nonsense. And not only nonsense, it is dangerous nonsense. Unless you love yourself, you cannot love anybody. Impossible. Because a man who is not in love with himself cannot be in love with anybody. If you are in love with yourself, only then your overflowing love can reach to somebody. A man who has not loved himself will hate himself. And if you yourself hate yourself, how can you love anybody? You will hate others also. You can only pretend. And when you cannot love yourself, how do you expect others will love you? Everyone is condemned in his own eyes. And the whole moralistic teaching gives you only one thing. Techniques of self-condemnation. How to condemn yourself, how you are bad, a criminal, guilty, a sinner. Christianity says that your being a sinner is not a question of what you do. You are born sinner. It is not a question that you can do some sin or not. No, you are a born sinner. Man is born in sin. Adam, the first man, committed the sin. And you are descendants. The sin has been committed. Nothing can be done. Now it cannot be undone. And you are born into sin, the Adam's sin. If you are born in sin, how can you love yourself? If your very being is guilt, how can you love yourself? And if you cannot love yourself, you cannot love anybody. The love must happen at home first. You are the home. And only when it overflows, it can reach to others. And when it overflows into your acts, whatsoever you do, whether you paint or make a shoe, or anything, just cleaning the streets, whatsoever you do, if you are deep love, if you are in deep love with yourself, it flows into everything you do. It flows even when you are not doing anything. It goes on flowing. It becomes your very existence. And then nothing is boring. People come to me, sometimes very sympathetically, some friends ask me, the whole day, you are sitting in one room, not even looking out of the window. Don't you get bored? I'm with myself, why I should get bored? They said, it's just sitting alone. Don't you get bored? If I hate myself, I will get bored. Because you cannot live with a person you hate. You get bored with yourself, you cannot be alone. Even for a few moments you are alone, you get fidgety. You get uncomfortable. Uneasiness comes into your being. You learn to meet someone because you cannot remain with yourself. The company is so boring. Your own company. You cannot look at your own face. You cannot touch your hand lovingly. No, impossible. They ask me, and their asking is irrelevant in their own difference. Because they will get bored if they are alone. They ask me, don't you go sometime out? There is no need. Sometimes they ask me that people come to you with the same problem again and again because everyone has the same problem. You are so unoriginal, you cannot even create an original problem. Everyone has the same problem, somewhere related with his love, with his sex, with his silence of mind, confusion, or something. Some psychology, some pathology, something. But men can be divided easily into 7 categories. And the same questions. 7 basic questions. And they go on. So they ask me, you don't get bored? I never get bored. Because each individual is unique to me. And because of the individual, the problem he brings is not a repetition. Because the context is different. The individual is different. You come with your love problem, another comes with his love problem. Both look similar, but they are not. Because 2 individuals, so different. Their difference changes the quality of the problem. So if you categorize, you can categorize in 7 categories, but I never categorize. Each individual is so unique. He cannot be put with anyone else. No category can be made. But then you have to be very keen awareness to penetrate to the very root where the individual is unique. Otherwise, on the surface, everyone is alike. Just on the surface, everyone is alike. The same problems. But if you penetrate deep, if you are alert and ready to move with the person to the deeper core of his being, the more deeper you go, the more original, individual, unique phenomena comes into being. If you can see to the very center, this person before you is unrepeatable. He has never been before. He will never be again. He is just unique. And the mystery then overfills you. The mystery of the unique person. Nothing is a repetition. If you know how to penetrate, how to be loving and alert, Otherwise, everything is repetitive. You are bored because you have a consciousness which creates boredom. Change the consciousness, and there will be no boredom. But you go on changing objects, that will not make any difference. You know?
Osho, Vigyan Bhairav Tantra, Volume 2, The Book of the Secrets, a new commentary. Discourse number 25, given in Bombay, India.
Life is not a problem, but a mystery. For science, life is a problem. For religion, it is a mystery. A problem can be solved. A mystery cannot be solved. A mystery can be lived, but cannot be solved. So religion offers no solutions, no answers. Religion has no answers. Science offers answers. This is the basic difference. And before you make any effort to understand what religion is, this basic difference in the very approach of a religious mind and a scientific mind is to be deeply understood. When I say science looks at life as a problem, something which can be solved, whole approach becomes intellectual. Then the mind is involved, but not you. You are out of it. The mind manipulates, the mind tackles, the mind penetrates, analyzes, the mind argues, doubts, experiments. But you as a totality are out of it. Hence the very puzzling phenomena. A scientist may be a very keen intellectual as far as his own department of research is concerned. But in ordinary life, he will be just an ordinary human being as anyone else. Nothing special, just ordinary. In his own branch of knowledge, he may be a genius, but in life he is just ordinary. Science involves only your intellect, not your totality. And intellect has a violence. It is aggressive. That's why very few women can be scientists, because aggression is not natural to them. Intellect is male, aggressive, violent. That's why men are more scientific and women are more religious. Intellect tries to dissect, divide, analyze. And whenever you dissect a live thing, the life disappears. Only dead parts are in your hands. That's why science never touches life. Really, whatsoever it touches becomes dead. So if science says there is no soul, or there is no God, it is meaningful. Not that there is no soul or no God. It is meaningful because this shows that the very approach of scientific mind is such that you cannot touch life anywhere. So wherever science touches, death happens. In the very method, in the very way, the very approach of division, analysis, dissection, life is bracketed out. So one thing, intellect is violent, aggressive. And the ultimate outcome through intellect can only be death, not life. It is partial, not total. And parts are dead. Life is an organic unity. You can know life through synthesis, not through analysis. Greater is synthesis. Higher forms of life evolve. God is the ultimate synthesis, the total unity, the wholeness of existence. God is not a person. The ultimate synthesis of all that is. And matter is the ultimate analysis of all that is. So science comes to atomic materiality. And religion comes to cosmic consciousness. Science moves downwards to the lowest denominators. Religion moves upwards to the highest denominator. They move in opposite dimensions. So science transforms everything into a problem. Because if you have to tackle it scientifically, first you have to decide whether it is a problem or not. Religion takes mystery as the base. There is no problem. Life is not a problem. The emphasis is it cannot be solved. A problem means something soluble, something which can be known, something knowable. It may not be known right now, but it is not unknowable. At the most, it may be unknown. But that unknownness will disappear and it will be transformed into a known thing. So really, religion cannot ask a question like this, what is life? This is abstract. Religion cannot ask such a question, what is God? This is nonsense. The very approach of religion is not to create problems. Religion can ask how to be more alive, how to be in the very current of life, how to live abundantly. Religion can ask how to be a God, but it cannot ask what God is. We can live mysteries. We can become one with them. We can lose ourselves in them. We can have a totally different existence. The very quality changes. But nothing is solved. Because nothing can be solved. And all that appears to be soluble, all that appears to be knowable, is only because we are taking it in fragments. If we look at the whole, then nothing is knowable. And we go on pushing the mystery backwards. A step ahead, we push the mystery. All our answers are temporary. And they appear to be answers only to lazy minds. If you have a penetrating mind, you will come upon again the same mystery. Just the mystery has been pushed a step back. Just behind the answer, the question is hidden. You have simply created a facet of answers. Just a curtain on the mystery. If you can feel the distinction, then from the very beginning, religion takes a different shape and different colors and a different view. The whole perspective changes. These techniques we are going to discuss here are not to solve anything, because they don't take life as a problem. Life is there. It has been a mystery and will remain a mystery. Whatsoever we do, we cannot demystify it. Because to be mysterious is the very quality of it. It is not something accidental that life is mysterious. It is not something which can be separated from it. It is the very life itself. So to me, the more you enter into the mysterium, into the mysterious, the more religious you become. A really religious man will not say that he believes in God. He will not say that God exists. These things seem to be very superficial. They seem to be like answers given to certain questions. A religious man cannot utter such profanities that God is. It is such a profound phenomenon, such a mysterious thing, that to say anything will be profane. So whenever someone asks Buddha whether God exists or not, he remains silent. You are asking such a thing which cannot be answered. Not that there is no God, but to answer such a thing will make it answerable. Then life will become a problem which can be answered. Then the mystery disappears. So Buddha says, don't ask me any metaphysical questions. Questions can be only physical. Physics can answer them. Metaphysical questions are not there, cannot be. Metaphysics means the mystery. These techniques are to help you to move more deeply into mystery, not into knowledge. You can look at it in a different way. These techniques will help you to be unburdened of your knowledge. They are not to help you to increase your knowledgeability. Because knowledgeability is the barrier. The door is closed then for the mystery. The more you know, the less you are capable to penetrate deep in life. The original wonder must be recaptured, just like a childlike sense of wonder. Nothing is known, and everything becomes a mystery. And you move in mystery. And the deeper you move, the deeper the mystery becomes. A moment comes when you can say you don't know anything. That is the right moment. Now you have become meditative. When you can feel a deep ignorance, when you become aware that you don't know anything, you have come to the right balancing point from where the door of the mystery can open. If you know, then the door is closed. If you are ignorant, fully alert that you don't know anything, the door suddenly opens. The very feeling that you don't know opens the door. So take these techniques not as knowledge, but as helps to make you more innocent. Ignorance is innocent. Knowledge is always a sort of cunning, cleverness. If you can use your knowledge to be ignorant again, then you have used it rightly. This is the only use of all the scriptures, of all the knowledge of all the Vedas, to make you again childlike. Now the first technique. Put mind stuff in such inexpressible fineness above, below, and in your heart. Three things. First, if knowledge is important, then head is the center. If childlike innocence is important, then heart is the center. The child lives in the heart. We live in the head. The child feels. We think. Even when we say that we feel, we think that we feel. Thinking comes to be primary to us. Feeling becomes secondary. Thinking is the tool for science and feeling is the tool for relation. You must start to be a feeling organism again. And both the dimensions are different. When you think, you remain separate. When you feel, you melt. Think about a flower, a rose flower. When you think you are separate, there is a gap, a distance, a space. For thinking, space is needed. For thoughts to move, distance is needed. Feel the flowers, the gap disappears, the distance drops. Because for feeling, distance is the barrier. Closer you come, the more you feel. A moment comes when even closeness appears to be a sort of distance. And then melting happens. Then you cannot feel the boundaries where you are and where the flower is, where you end and where the flower begins. Then boundaries melt into each other. The flower enters in you in a way, you enter in the flower in a way. Feeling is losing the boundaries. Thinking is creating the boundaries. That's why thinking always insists on definitions. Because without definitions, you cannot create boundaries. So thinking says define first. And feeling says don't define. If you define, feeling stops. The child feels, we think. The child comes close to existence. He melts and allows the existence to melt in him. We are isolated, imprisoned in the head. We are like islands. This sutra says that come back to the heart center. Start feeling things. This will be a great experiment if you start feeling things. Whatsoever you do, give a certain amount of your time, energy, to feeling. You are sitting here. You can listen to me, but that will be part of thinking. You can also feel me here, but that will not be a part of thinking. You can feel my presence. Then definitions are lost. Then really, if you come to a moment of feeling, you don't know who is speaking and who is listening. This can happen right this very moment. Then the speaker becomes the listener and the listener becomes the speaker. Then really they are not two, rather two poles of one phenomenon. On one pole is the speaker and another pole is the listener. But these are just poles, isolated. They are not real. The real thing is just in between these two, the life, the flow. Whenever you feel, something else than your ego becomes important. Object and subject lose their definition. A flow, a wave, exists. On one pole the speaker, on another pole the listener. But the life is the wave. Head gives you clarity. And because of this clarity, much confusion has come into being. Because the head defines clearly, marks boundaries, makes maps. Everything is clear-cut with reason. No vagueness. No mystery is allowed. All that is vague is rejected. Only the clear is real. Reason gives you a clarity. And because of clarity, a great misunderstanding arises. Clarity is not reality. The reality is always unclear, vague. Concepts are clear. Reality is mysterious. Concepts are rational. Reality is irrational. Words are clear. Logic is clear. Life is not clear. Heart gives you a melting vagueness. It reaches reality more intimately. But it is not clear. And because we have chosen clarity as the goal, we have been missing reality. You must have unclear eyes to enter reality again. You must be vague. You must be ready to enter into something which cannot be conceptualized, into something which is not logic, into something which is staggering, real, staggering, alive. Clarity is dead. It remains fixed. A life is a flux. Nothing is fixed. Nothing remains the same the next moment. How you can be clear about it? If you insist too much on clarity, you will lose contact with it. And that is what has happened. This sutra says, the basic thing is to come back to the heart center, but how to come to it? Put mind stuff in such inexpressible fineness, above, below, and in your heart. The word mind stuff is not a good translation of the original Sanskrit word chitta. But English has no other equivalent. So it is good in a way, it carries the meaning. Not mind, but mind stuff. Mind means mentation, thinking, thoughts. Mind stuff means the background upon which these thoughts float. Just like in the sky, clouds move. Clouds are the thoughts, and the sky is the background upon which they move. That sky consciousness has been called mind stuff. Your mind can be without thoughts, then it is chitta. Then it is pure mind. When it is with thoughts, it is impure mind. If your mind can be without thoughts, then it is very subtle. The subtlest thing possible in existence. You cannot conceive a more subtle possibility. Consciousness is the most subtle thing. So when there are no thoughts in the mind, you have pure mind. This pure mind can move towards the heart. The impure mind cannot move towards the heart. And by impurity, I don't mean any immoral thoughts in the mind. By impurity, I mean all thoughts. Thought as such is impure. So even if you are thinking of God, it is an impurity. Because the cloud is moving. The cloud is very white, but the cloud is there. And the purity of the space is not there. The cloudless sky is not there. A cloud may be a black cloud, a sexual thought moving in the mind. Other cloud may be a white cloud, beautiful, a prayer moving in the mind. But in both the cases, the pure mind is not there. It is impure, clouded. And if the mind is clouded, you cannot move to the heart. This has to be understood. Because with thoughts, you cling in the head. They are the roots. Unless those roots are cut, you cannot fall back to the heart. The child remains in the heart up to the moment only when thoughts crystallize and the thoughts start floating in his mind. Then they take roots. Then through education, culture, cultivation, they become rooted. Then by and by, the consciousness moves from the heart to the head. The consciousness can remain in the head only if there are thoughts. This is basic. If there are no thoughts, consciousness immediately drops back to its original innocence in the heart. Hence so much emphasis on meditation. So much emphasis on non-thinking. Thoughtless awareness. Choiceless awareness. Our Buddha's word, right mindfulness. Just mindfulness without any thoughts. Just being aware. What happens? A very great phenomenon happens because the roots are cut. Immediately consciousness drops back to the heart. To the original place where it was. You become a child again. Jesus says only those who are like children will enter into the kingdom of my God. He refers to such persons whose consciousness has come back to the heart. They have become innocent. Childlike. But the first basic requirement is put mind stuff in such inexpressible fineness. Thoughts can be expressed. There is not a single thought which is inexpressible, or there can be. If it is inexpressible, you cannot think it. If you can think it, it is expressible. So there is not a single thought which you can say inexpressible. The moment you can think it, it has become expressible. You have already expressed it to yourself. Consciousness, pure consciousness is inexpressible. That's why mystics go on saying they cannot express what they know. Logicians always raise the question that if you know, then why you cannot say it? And their argument has meaning and significance. If you really say that you know, then why can't you express? For a logician, knowledge must be expressible. That which can be known can be made known to others. There is no problem. If you have known it, then where is the problem? You can make it known to others. But the mystic's knowledge is not of thoughts. He has not known it as a thought. He has known it as a feeling. So really it is not good to say that I know God. It is better to say I feel. It is not good to say that I have known God. It is better to say I have felt Him. That is a more accurate description of the phenomenon. The knowledge is through the heart. It is like feeling. It is not like knowledge. Put mind stuff in such inexpressible fineness. Mind stuff, consciousness, chitta, is inexpressible. But if a single thought is moving, it is expressible. So to put mind stuff in such inexpressible fineness means to come to a point where you are conscious but not conscious of any thought. Where you are alert but there is no thought moving in the mind. This is a delicate point and very difficult, and you can miss it easily. We know two states of mind. One, when thoughts are there. When thoughts are there, you cannot move to the heart. Another state of mind we know when thoughts are not there, but when thoughts are not there, we fall asleep. Then too you cannot move to the heart. Otherwise, every day in the night, for a few moments, for a few hours, you fall out of thinking. Thoughts cease. But you don't reach to the heart, because you are unconscious. So a very delicate balance is needed. Thoughts must cease as they cease in deep sleep when there is no dream. And you must be alert as you are alert while awake. These 2 points must meet. Mind must be as thoughtless as in deep sleep, and you must not be in sleep. You must be perfectly alert, aware. When awareness and this thoughtlessness meet, it is meditation. That's why Patanjali says that samadhi is like susupti. The highest ecstasy, samadhi, is like deepest sleep, with only one difference, that in it you are not asleep. But the quality is the same thoughtless, dreamless, undisturbed, without a single ripple, totally calm and quiet, but alert. When you are aware and there is no thought, you will feel a sudden transformation into your consciousness. The center changes. You are thrown back. You are thrown to the heart. And from the heart, when you look at the world, there is no world. There is only God. And from the head, when you look towards existence, there is no God. There is only material existence. Material existence, the world, and the God are not two things, two outlooks. two perspectives. The same phenomenon looked at from two different centers of being. Put mind stuff in such inexpressible fineness, above, below, and in your heart. Be totally in it, merged, immersed. Simple consciousness, above, below, in the heart. The whole heart surrounded by simple consciousness. Not thinking anything in particular. Just being aware. With no verb, with no word, with no verbalization. Not thinking at all, just being. Put mind stuff above, below, and in your heart. And everything will become possible to you. All the doors of perception will be cleansed. All the doors of mysteries will be opened. Suddenly there will be no problem. Suddenly there will be no misery. As if the darkness has disappeared completely. Once you know this, you can move back to the hedge, but you will not be the same. Now you can use the head as an instrument. You can work with it. But now you are not identified with it. And even while working with it and looking at the world through it, you know that whatsoever you are seeing is because of the intellect. Now you are acquainted with a higher standpoint, a deeper view. And any moment you want, you can drop back. Once you know the passage, how consciousness drops back, and your age, your past, your memory, your knowledge disappear, and you become a newborn child again. Once you know this, the secret, the passage, you can travel to that point as many times as you like. And you can be refreshed again and again. If you have to move to the head, you can use it. You can move in the ordinary world, working, but not getting involved in it. Because deep down, you know that that which is known by the intellect is partial. It is not the whole truth. And the partial truth is more dangerous than a lie. Because it appears to be true. And you can be deceived by it. Some points more, when you move to the heart, you look at existence as a total being. Heart is not departmental. Heart is not a fragment of you. Heart means you in your totality. Mind is a fragment. Hand is a fragment. Leg is a fragment. Stomach is a fragment. The whole body, taken in parts, are fragments. The heart is not a fragment. That's why my hand can be cut, I will be alive. Even my brain can be removed, I will be alive. But if the heart is gone, I'm gone. Really, the whole body can be removed, and if my heart is beating, I'm alive. The heart means your wholeness. So when heart fails, you are no more there. All other things are just parts, disposable. You will remain intact. The center of the heart is the very core of your existence. I can touch you by my hand. That touch will give me certain knowledge about you, about your skin, its smoothness or not. The hand will give certain knowledge to me, but that knowledge will be partial, because the hand is not my wholeness. My eyes will give a certain knowledge from a different standpoint, but that will not be the whole. I can think about you, again the same, but I cannot feel you in part. If I feel you at all, I feel you in your wholeness. That's why, unless you know through love, you never know the wholeness of any person. Only love can reveal you the whole personality, the whole being, the essential, the total. Because love means knowing through the heart, feeling through the heart. So to me, feeling and knowing are not two fragments of your being. Feeling is your whole being. Knowing is just a fragment of it. To religion, love is the highest knowledge. That's why religion is expressed more in poetic terms than in scientific. Scientific terms cannot be used. They belong to the realm of knowing. Poetry can be used. And those who have come to know reality through love, whatsoever they say becomes a poetry. Upanishads, Vedas, the sayings of Jesus, or Buddha, or Krishna. They are all poetic statements. It is not just a coincidence that all the old religious scriptures are written in poetry. It has a significance. It shows that there is some affinity between the world of a poet and the world of a mystic. But the mystic is also using the language of the heart. And the poet is only a mystic in certain moments of flight. Just as you can jump. You can jump and for a few seconds you go away from the gravitation of the earth. But again you are back on the earth. A poet means a person who has been for some seconds into a flight of the world of the mystics. He had some glimpses. Mystic means one who has gone beyond gravitation completely, who lives in the world of love, who lives through heart. This has become his very abode. For the poetic person, it is just a glimpse. Sometimes he falls down from the head to the heart. But this is just for a time being. Again he is back to the head. So if you see a beautiful poem, don't try to see the poet who has written it. Because you will not meet the same person. You will be disappointed. Because you will meet a very ordinary man. He had a glimpse. For certain moments, reality was revealed to him. He had come down to the heart. But he doesn't know the passage. He is not the master of it. It has been happening. He cannot move to it by his own will. When Coleridge died, he left near about 40,000 incomplete poems. He completed only 7 poems really in his whole life. He became a great poet, one of the greatest of the world. He was asked many times that why you go on piling up incomplete things and when you are going to complete them. He said, I cannot do anything. Sometimes few lines come to me and then they stop. So how I can complete them? I will wait. I will have to wait. If it happens again and the glimpse comes to me and I am revealed again the world, the reality, then I will complete it. But on my own I can do nothing. He must have been a very sincere poet. To find such sincere poets is difficult because the tendency of the mind is to supply. If 3 lines have come, then you will supply the 4th, and the 4th will kill all the 3 because it will come from a very lower state of mind. When you are back on the earth, when you jumped and you were freed for some moments from the gravitation, you had a different dimension of being. A poet moves on the earth, sometimes he jumps. In those jumps he has glimpses. A mystic lives in the heart. He doesn't move on the earth. The heart has become his abode. So he doesn't really create poetries, but whatsoever he does becomes poetic. Whatsoever he says becomes poetry. Really, a mystic cannot use prose, because his prose is also poetry. It is coming through the heart. It is coming through love. Put mind stuff in such inexpressible fineness above, below, and in your heart. But the heart is your total being. And when you are total, you can know the total. Remember this. Only the similar can know the similar. When you are fragmentary, you cannot know the total. As within, as without. When you are total within, the total reality without is revealed to you. You have become capable to know it. You have earned the right to know it. When you are fragmented within, the reality is fragmented without. So whatsoever you are within will be the without for you. Deep in the heart, the whole world is different. The gestalt is different. I am looking at you. If I am looking at you through the head, through intellect, through one of my parts of knowing, then few friends are here, individuals, egos, separate. But if I am looking at you through the heart, then individuals are not here. Then just an oceanic consciousness is here. And individuals are just waves. If I look at you through the heart, then you and your neighbor are not two. Then the reality is between you and your neighbor. You are just two poles. And the real is just in between. Then here there is an ocean of consciousness in which you exist as waves. But waves are not separate. They are linked together. And you are every moment melting into the other, whether you know it or not. The breath that was within you just a moment before has left you. Now it is moving into your neighbor. Just a moment before it was your life. And you would have died without it. And now it is moving into your neighbor. It is his life now. Your body is continuously radiating vibrations. You are a radiator. And your life energy is constantly moving into the neighbor. And his life energy is moving into you. If I look you at, from my heart, if I look you with loving eyes, if I look you totally, then you are just radiating points. And life is moving continuously from you to other and to others to you. And not only it is so just here in this room, this whole universe is a constant flux of life energy. It goes on moving. There are no individual units. It is a cosmic whole. But through intellect, the cosmic never appears. Only fragments, atomic fragments appear. And this is not a question which can be comprehended through intellect. If you try to comprehend through intellect, it will be impossible to comprehend it. It is totally a different outlook from a different point of existence. If you are total within, the totality without is revealed to you. That revelation, some have called God realization. Some have called moksha, liberation. Some have called nirvana, cessation. Different words, altogether different words, but signifying the same core, the same essence. One thing is basic to all these expressions, that the individual disappears. You may call it God realization, then you are no more an individual. You can call it liberation, then you are no more a self. You can call it cessation as Buddha has called it. Just as a lamp, a flame ceases to be, disappears, disperses. You cannot find the flame again anywhere. You cannot locate it. It has gone into non-being. The individual disappears. But this point has to be pondered. Why? All religions say that the individual, the self, the ego disappears when you realize the truth. If all religions emphasize this, this means that the self must be illusory, otherwise how it can disappear? And the self must not be there really. Only then it can disappear. This may seem paradoxical, but this is so. Only that which is not can disappear. That which is will persist to be. It cannot disappear. Just because of the head, a false entity has come into being, the individual. If you come down to the heart, the false entity disappears. It was the creation of the head. From the heart, the cosmic is, the individual is not. The whole is, the parts are not. And remember, when you are not, you cannot create a hell. When you are not, you cannot be in misery. When you are not, there can be no anxiety, no suffering. All anxiety, all suffering exists because of you. The shadow of the shadow. The self is unreal, the ego is unreal. And because of that unreal self, many unreal shadows are created. And they follow you. And you go on fighting with those shadows. You will never be victorious. Because the base goes on hidden within you. Swami Ramtith has said somewhere that he was staying in a house, in a poor villager's house. The small child of the villager was playing just before the hut. And the sun was rising. And the child saw his shadow. He tried to catch it. But the more he will move, the shadow will move ahead. The child started crying. He was a failure. He tried in every way to catch it. But it was impossible to catch it. And to catch a shadow is impossible not because shadow is such a difficult thing to catch. It is impossible because the child was moving to catch it. And when he will move, the shadow will move ahead. And you cannot catch a shadow because a shadow has no substance, and only substance can be caught. So Ramtith was sitting there, he was laughing and the child was crying. And the mother was at a loss what to do, how to console the child. So she said to Ramtith, Swamiji, can you help me? And Ramtith was laughing and the child was crying. So Ramtith went near the child, he caught the child's hand and put it on his head. And the shadow was caught. Now the child was putting his hand on his head, the shadow was caught. The child started laughing, now he could see that his hand has caught the shadow. You cannot catch a shadow, but you can catch yourself. And the moment you catch yourself, the shadow is caught. Suffering is just a shadow to the ego. And we are all like that child, fighting with suffering, anxiety, anguish, and trying to disperse it. We can never be victorious. It is not a question of strength. The whole effort is absurd, impossible. You must catch the self, the ego. And once you catch it, suffering suddenly disappears. It was just a shadow. But there are persons who start fighting with the self. It has been taught that disperse the self, be egoless, and you will be in bliss. So they start fighting the self, the ego. But if you fight, you are still believing that the self exists. Your fight will give food to it. It will become an energy-giving thing to it. You will be feeding it. This technique says don't think of the ego. Just move from the head to the heart and the ego will disappear. The ego is a projection of the head. Don't fight with it. You can go on fighting for lives together, but you remain in the head, you cannot win it. Just change the standpoint. Just move from the head to a different standpoint, to a deeper standpoint of the being. And the whole thing changes, because now you can look in a different perspective. From the heart there is no ego. Because of this, we have become afraid of the heart. We never allow the heart to have its own way. We always interfere with the heart. We always bring mind into it. We try to control the heart through the mind, because we have become afraid, because if you move to the heart, you lose yourself. And this losing is just like death. Hence the incapacity to love. Hence the fear of falling in love. Because you lose yourself. You are not in control. Something greater than you grips you, takes possession. Then you are not on sure ground. Then you don't know where you are moving. So the head said, don't be a fool. Move with reason. Don't be mad. So whenever someone is in love, everyone thinks he is mad. He himself thinks that something has gone crazy. I am not in my senses. Why it happens? Because now there is no control. Something is happening he cannot control. He cannot manage and manipulate. Rather, something is manipulating him. Greater force has taken him. He is possessed. But unless you are ready to be possessed, there can be no God for you. Unless you are ready to be possessed, there is no mystery for you, and no bliss, no benediction. One who is ready to be possessed by love, by prayer, by the cosmos, it means one who is ready to die as an ego. Only that one can know what life is really, what life has to give, what is possible, becomes immediately actual. But you must put yourself at the stake. But this technique is beautiful. It doesn't talk anything about your ego. It doesn't say anything. It simply gives you a technique. And if you follow the technique, the ego would have disappeared. The second sutra, consider any area of your present form as limitlessly spacious. The same, through a different door. But the basic essential is the same, and that is to destroy limits. Mind creates limits. If you don't think, you move into the unlimited. Or, from a different door, you can try with the unlimited and you will fall from the mind. The mind cannot coexist with the unlimited, with the undefined, unbordered, infinite. The mind cannot exist with the unbordered. So if you can try something limitless, the mind will disappear. And this technique gives you, consider any area of your present form as limitlessly spacious. Any area. You can just close your eyes and imagine that your head has become infinite. No, there are no boundaries to it. It goes on and on and on and on, and there is no boundary to it. Your head has become the whole cosmos, without any boundaries. If you can imagine, suddenly thoughts will stop. If you can imagine your head as infinite, thinking will not be there. Thinking can exist only in a very narrow mind. The narrower it is, the better for thinking. The greater the mind, lesser the thinking. And when the mind becomes totally space, there is no thinking. Buddha is sitting under his Bodhi tree. Can you imagine what he is thinking? He is not thinking at all. His head is the whole cosmos. He has become spacious, infinitely spacious. This technique is good for those who can imagine. It will not be good for all. Those who can imagine. And the imagination becomes so real that you cannot really say whether it is imagination or real, then it will work to you. Otherwise it will not be of much use. But don't be afraid, because at least 30% people are capable of such imagination. These people are very powerful. If your mind is not very much educated, it will be easy for you to imagine. If it is educated, then the creativity is lost. Then your mind is just a storage. It is a bank. And the whole education system is a banking system. They go on banking and you dumping. Whatsoever they feel has to be dumped, they go on dumping. They use your mind as a storage. Then you cannot imagine. Then whatsoever you do is just repeating that which has been taught to you. So those who are uneducated, they can use this technique very easily. And those who have come out of their universities without being distorted by the universities, they can also use it. Those who are really still alive, even after so much education, they can do it. Women can do it more easily than men. All those who are imaginative, dreamers, they can do it very easily. But how to know whether you can do it or not? So you can do a small experiment just before entering it. Just lock your both hands and close your eyes for 5 minutes, anytime. Relax in your chair, lock your both hands. And just imagine that the hands are so locked that even if I try, I will not be able to open them. It will look absurd to you because they are not locked. But you just go on imagining that they are locked. 5 minutes, go on thinking. And then say 3 times in the mind that now I will try to open, but I know it is impossible. They are locked and they cannot be opened. Then try to open. 30% of you will not be able to open their hands. They are really locked. And the more you will try, the more you will feel it is impossible. You will start perspiring. You cannot open your own hands. Then this method is for you. Then you can try this method. If you easily open your hands and nothing has happened, this method is not for you. You will not be able to do it. But don't get scared if your hands are not opening, and don't try too much, because the more you will try, the more it will be difficult. Just close your eyes again and imagine that now they are unlocking. 5 minutes you will need again. And go on imagining that when now you will try to open, they will open immediately. Unlock the same way as you lock them, just through imagination. And if this is possible that hands become locked just by imagination and you yourself cannot open them, then this technique will work miracles for you. And in these 112 techniques, there are many which work with imagination. For all those techniques, this hand locking experiment will be good. Just an experiment, whether the technique is for you or not. Consider any area of your present form as limitlessly spacious. Any. You can consider the whole body. Just close your eyes and consider that the whole body is spreading, 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 and then the boundaries are lost. It has become infinite. What will happen? You cannot even conceive what will happen. If you can conceive yourself that you have become the cosmos, that's the meaning. Infinite. All that is bound with your ego will not be found there. Your name, your identity, all will be lost. Your poorness, your richness, your misery, your health, your disease, all will be lost. Because they are part of a finite body. With the infinite body, they cannot exist. And once you know this, come back to your finite body, but now you can laugh. And even in the finite, you can have the sense, the feel of the infinite. Then you can carry it. Then you can carry it. But try. And it will be good if you try from the head. Because that is the base of all illness. So close your eyes, lie down on the ground or sit on the chair, relax. Just look within the head. Feel the walls of the head spreading, expanding. If you feel that it will be very staggering, then try it slowly. First think that your head has come to occupy the whole room. Actually, you will feel your skin touching the walls. If you can lock your hands, this will happen. You will feel the coldness on the walls. With closed eyes, your skin is touching. You will feel the pressure. Then go on moving. Your head has gone beyond. Now the house has come within the head. Then the whole town has come within the head. Then go on spreading. Within 3 months, slowly you can come to the point when sun rises in your head. It starts moving your head. It has become infinite. It will give you such a deep freedom you have not known. And all the misery that belongs to this narrow mind will disappear. In such a state, Upanishadic seers could say, Aham Brahmasmi, I am the divine, I am the absolute. In such ecstasy, Analhak was uttered. Mansur cried in ecstasy, Analhak, I am the God. Mohammedans couldn't understand it. Really, no sectarians will be able to understand such things. They thought he has gone mad, but he was not mad. He was the sanest person possible. Then they thought he has become egoist. He says, I am the God. So they killed him. While he was killed, his hands were cut, he was laughing. And he was saying, Anahak, Aham Brahmasmi, I am God. And someone asked, Mansur, why are you laughing? You are being murdered. He said, you cannot murder me, I am the whole. You can murder only a part. How can you murder a whole? And whatsoever you do to it, cannot make it disappear. Mansur is reported to have said that if you really wanted to kill me, you must have come at least 10 years before. Then I was. Then you could have killed me. But now you cannot kill me because I am no more. I have killed that ego myself, which could have been killed and murdered. Mansur was practicing certain Sufi methods of this type, in which one goes on expanding, and then the expense becomes so infinite that one is no more. Then the whole is, and the individual is not. In these few decades, 2 or 3 decades in the West, psychedelic drugs have become very much significant. And the attraction is really of expansion. Because under the influence of the drug, your narrowness, your limitedness is lost. But it is a chemical change. Nothing spiritual happens out of it. It is just a forced violence on the system. You force the system to break. You can have a glimpse that you are no more confined to anything. You have become infinite, liberated. But this is because of the chemical enforcement. Back, you will be again into the narrow body. And now this body will feel more narrower than before. Again you will be confined in this same imprison. And now this imprison will be more intolerable. Because you have seen a glimpse. And because that glimpse was through the chemicals, you are not master of it. You will become a slave. You will become addicted. Now you will need it more and more. This technique is a spiritual psychedelic. If you practice it, a spiritual change will take place. And it will not be chemical. And you will be the master of it. And take it as a criterion. If you are the master, then the thing is spiritual. If you are the space, then beware. The thing may appear to be spiritual. It cannot be. Anything that becomes addictive, powerful, enslaving, imprisoning, is leading you towards more slavery, more unfreedom, whatsoever the appearance. So take it as a criterion that whatsoever you do, your mastery must grow through it. You must become more and more master of it. So it is said, and I repeat it again and again, that when really the meditation has happened to you, you will not need it to do it. If you still need it to do it, it has not yet really happened. Because that too has become a slavery. Even meditation must disappear. A moment must come when you need not do anything. Just as you are divine. Just as you are the bliss, the ecstasy. But this technique is good for expansion, for expanding the consciousness. Before trying it, try the hand locking experiment. So you can feel, if your hands become locked, you have a very creative imagination. And your imagination is not important. You can work miracles through it. Enough for today. But if you are bent upon to be somebody extraordinary, special, then life cannot flow through you. Then there is a constant struggle between life and you. between your small ego and the cosmos. This is creating madness. The whole earth has become a mad planet. And this madness cannot be helped by treatments, therapies, because it is so basic a style of life. This is not a pathology. This is how we are living. Our whole style of life is mad. So you cannot help through therapies unless the whole lifestyle changes. And there are only two lifestyles, ego-oriented and egoless oriented. You must be somebody. This is one way of life. Then madness is the outcome. Really, the madman is the most extraordinary man. He has achieved the extraordinariness. Because now he is completely uprooted from reality. He is not concerned with the reality at all. Now he lives isolated in himself. He has created his own world. Now the dream is the real, and the real has become just dream. Everything is upside down. And you cannot convince a madman that he is wrong. Because he is very logical. Madmen are very rational and logical. One madman used to come out of his house every day in the morning. He will chant some mantra and make some gestures. So whosoever was passing, he will ask, "Literally, what are you doing?" And the madman will say that I am protecting this neighborhood from ghosts. So the person who was asking will say, "But there are no ghosts in this neighborhood." So the man will say, "Look, because of my chanting mantra, they are not." He is rational. You cannot convince him. Ghosts are not there because of his chanting. But he lives now in his own subjective dream world. You cannot pull him out. If you are somebody, that is, if you think yourself somebody, because nobody can be somebody. That is not in the nature of things. But you can think yourself that you are somebody, then a part of you has gone mad. That somebodyness is your madness. And the more this cancer of somebodyness grows, the more you will be cut from reality. A Buddha is a nobody. All his doors are open. The wind comes and blows. The rains come and blow. The sun rays enter and pass. The life flows. He is not there. This is what I mean when meditation has happened, it will happen to you. And this is very ordinary, natural, real. Third question, you are often saying that this is good or bad, or this is right or wrong. Is this a language just for us, as we are not able to realize the oneness of everything, or is there such a thing as good and bad? No, it is simply a language. For me, there is nothing good and nothing bad. But this will be too dangerous for you. Truth can be dangerous. Really, only truth can be dangerous. Lies are never so dangerous. Because they are not potential. They have no force in it. Truth can be very shattering. This is the truth that there is no good, no bad. Nothing is right and nothing is wrong. Everything is as it is. All condemnation, division is futile. But this will be dangerous for you. This will be too much for you. And you will misunderstand it. You cannot understand it. When I say there is nothing good, nothing bad, you cannot understand it. You will misunderstand. And you will have your own interpretation of it. If I say there is nothing good, nothing bad, whatsoever you have been thinking up to now was bad, you will think now. There is no need to think it bad. It will become a license to you. And you will start a double thinking. You will think for yourself that there is nothing good and bad, but for others, you will not allow the same. If you can allow the same for others also, then you have understood. Then it is not a license. Then it is a freedom. But the mind must be one, and there should not be double standards. Why I say there is nothing good, nothing bad? Because goodness and badness are interpretations, they are not reality. There is a flower outside in the garden. You can call it beautiful, somebody can call it ugly. The flower is neither. The flower exists there in its authenticity as it is. And it is not bothered about your interpretations also. But to you, it is either beautiful or not. That beauty and ugliness are interpretations, not reality. It is your mind which says it is beautiful or ugly. The flower will not be affected by it, but you will be affected. If you say it is beautiful, your behavior will be different. If you say it is ugly, your behavior will be different. You will be affected by your interpretations. And I am talking with you. So I have to constantly remember that whatsoever I say, your behavior will be affected. Unless you come to a point where whole emphasis has changed from doing to being, when you are not interested in doing and you are only interested in being, then you can understand what I mean, that there is nothing good nor bad. Things are as they are. But this is possible only to be understood when you are deeply centered in the being. And if you are centered in the being, then whatsoever you do will be good. Then there is no danger. But right now you are not centered in the being. You are centered on the periphery, continuously choosing what to do and what not to do. Really, you have not asked the question, what to be. You have been always asking what to do and what not to do. Whether this will be good if I do or will not be good. You never ask the question what to be. And unless being becomes more important than doing, there is good and there is bad. It is for you. Then something has to be done and something has not to be done. And how I make this difference and why? If there is really no good and no bad, then how and why this difference is made? To me, again, the difference I make for you, and I call something good if it leads to your being, where everything will become good. And I call something bad if it leads you away from the being. And if you go on being away from yourself, everything will become bad. To help you to come to yourself, to your home, I call something good and bad, something right and wrong. And it is better to use the word right and wrong than the word good and bad. Because I am more concerned with techniques, how to bring yourself to your own being. So a technique can be right if it brings you. A technique can be wrong if it doesn't bring you, or becomes a hindrance, or moves you into bypaths, or moves you on ways which will become cul-de-sacs and will not lead you anywhere. But if you ask me ultimately, then there is nothing good, nothing bad, nothing right, nothing wrong. And if you can understand this right now, and start living in a way where nothing is wrong and nothing is right, and this is for you as far as you are concerned with others, and the same for others as they are concerned with you. Jesus says, do unto others as you would like to be done with you. And this is the basic principle of one standard. And this is the whole of the teaching of all those who want to help you to come to yourself. One standard. Nothing is good, nothing is bad, but not only for you, for everyone. It is easy to say that to steal is not bad if you are stealing. But if someone else is stealing something from you, then it becomes difficult to say that stealing is not bad. I have heard about a thief. For the fourth time, he was caught. And the judge asked him, that you get caught again and again, what is the matter? If you are not so efficient, why go on doing it? The man said, it is not the question of efficiency. I am alone, and the work is too much. So the judge said, then why don't you have a companion, a partner? The thief said, morals have gone so low that you cannot depend on any partner. Even a thief thinks in terms of morality for others. Morals have gone so low. You cannot depend on a partner. So I have to do all the work myself. And the work is so much. This is the deepest teaching of all the knowers, that there is nothing to choose. Everything is accepted. If you can accept it in its totality, you are transformed. But if you are cunning and want to deceive yourself, then this total acceptability will be dangerous. So I say many things to you just because of you. And just in between, and go on communicating that also, which I would like really to say to you. But it can be given only very indirectly. You are so dangerous, so suicidal, that you can commit something which will be harmful to you. Higher truths, and this is the ultimate truth, not only higher. Naropa says in his song that an inch's difference and heaven and hell are set apart. An inch's difference, that this is good and that is bad, and heaven and hell are set apart. And you will have to live in anguish. You have created the division. Bring all the dualities nearer, closer, and let them merge. The good and bad merge into each other. The darkness and light merge into each other. Life and death merge into each other. Then there is Advait, then there is oneness. That oneness brings freedom, transformation. Fourth question. It is our imagination, through auto-suggestions, that has established us in the world of the finite, in the world of the names and forms, in the world of pains and pleasures. Can some instrument be used to reach the infinite, the absolute, the blissful? The same instrument in the reverse order. You have come to this house, soon you will be going back, and the same path will be used again, but in the reverse order. While you were coming here, your face was towards me, and when you will be going back, your back will be towards me, but the path will be the same. No other path is needed to go back home. Only the direction changes. The way which you have traveled to come into darkness will be the way, is the way, the only way. You will have to travel back. The way that has brought you in misery and anguish will be the way which will lead you towards bliss and ecstasy. There is no other way, there is no need. And remember, don't follow any other way, otherwise you will never reach the home. You have to be alert to follow the same path again. Only change the direction. A total about turn. Hypnosis, autosuggestion, they create this world. De-hypnosis, de-autosuggestion, and you will be back to the real. There is no finite world. The world is infinite. It is your superimposition, your hypnosis, that it looks finite. Withdraw your hypnosis, it is infinite. It has always been so. All techniques of meditation are similar to hypnosis. It creates a problem. In many minds it creates a problem. Then they go on asking, what is the difference between hypnosis and meditation? There is no difference. The path is the same. The direction is different. In hypnosis, you are falling more and more asleep, losing awareness. In meditation, you are coming out of sleep, gaining awareness. The same path. In hypnosis, you are conditioning yourself. In meditation, you are unconditioning yourself. But the process is the same. Meditation is hypnosis in reverse. So whatsoever you have done with yourself, you have to undone it. That's all. Try to do. Very simple experiments will be revealing. You can hypnotize yourself. Close your room, make a small experiment. Close your room, make it completely dark, then put a small candle just before your eyes. Then without blinking the eyes, stare at the flame. And just go on thinking that you are falling asleep. You are falling asleep. A deep sleep is descending on you. Just let this thought be floating there within. And go on staring at the candle. And let this thought be there as a cloud hovering over you. You are falling asleep. You are falling asleep. When you do it, you have to say, I am falling asleep. The sleep is descending. My limbs are relaxing. And you will feel a subtle change immediately. Within 3 minutes, you will feel the body has become heavy. Any moment you can fall down. The lids of the eyes are heavy. Now it is so difficult to go on staring at the flame. The eyes want to close. And everything has become numb. Now you can feel this is hypnosis. Being more sleepy. Falling into unawareness. Becoming more unconscious. Feel the feel of it. What is happening? How your mind has become cloud. The clarity is gone. Aliveness is gone. You are becoming dead. Your body feels more weighty. This will give you a sensation how your consciousness can become unconscious. Try this for 7 days so that you can feel it completely what it is. How you descend in the well. How more dark, more asleep, more unconscious. And at the last moment, suddenly, you will not be there. The flame has disappeared. You are fast asleep. So you can feel the grace. Then after 1 week, try the other experiment. The same room, the same flame, the same way of waiting, the same way of staring, but a different thought in the mind that I will become more and more alert. I am becoming more and more alert. More alive, more alert. The body is becoming more and more weightless. Let this thought be there and go on staring at the flame. And you will feel a sudden surge of life, awareness and consciousness. And you can come to a point within 7 days where you will feel so alert as if the body is not. The whole spectrum. On one point is deep sleep where you forget yourself completely. On another pole is deep awareness where everything is forgotten, only you remember yourself. And then there are many mid stages. The stage we are in is just in the middle. Half asleep, half awake. So whatsoever you do, you are doing in half asleep, half awake. Both the processes are the same process. Thought in an intense state becomes reality. Thought condensed becomes a thing. One thought continuously in the consciousness, it transforms you, it becomes a seed. So if you are struggling to be more and more alert, you are deconditioning yourself, moving in the other direction. Gurdjieff calls it self-remembering. He says continuously remember yourself. Buddha says don't forget yourself, whatsoever you are doing. Continuously go on hammering that I am doing it. And he is so particular that he says to his monks, while you are walking, your left feet comes up. Remember that my left feet is coming up. Now the feet is going down. Now the right is coming up. Now the right is going down. That the breath is coming in. That the breath is going out. Remember, continuously, whatsoever is happening, use every happening as a situation to remember. Don't do anything in unconscious state, sleepy state. And Buddha says this is enough. If you can work this 24 hours, sooner or later, you will have dehypnotized yourself. You would have become aware, alert. Hypnosis and meditation are the same process into diametrically opposite directions. You can use hypnosis to awaken you. You can use hypnosis to fall deep in sleep. And if you become master of the art of hypnosis, you have got the key to open all the doors of life. If you are not the master of the key of hypnosis, then you are a victim of so many forces. This is worth understanding. If you don't know what hypnosis is, then you are a victim. Everybody is trying hypnosis on you. I say everybody. They may not be knowingly doing it, but everybody is trying. There are different ways, methods. The whole world is filled with hypnotic tricks. The same advertisement in the newspaper, on the television, on the radio, it goes on hammering. It becomes a hypnotic thing. In the mind, you go on repeating. Lux is the best soap. You go on repeating. Wherever you move, on the walls it is written. In the film you see it, on the TV screen it is there, on the radio it is there, magazine, newspaper, anything. Lux toilet soap. It goes on. You become hypnotized by it. Then you go to the shop, and the man on the counter asks you, what soap you need? You say Lux toilet soap. You are asleep. You are not saying it consciously. It has been hammered in. Now it is built in. Crores of rupees are spent on advertisement just to hypnotize you. Those advertisements have to be repeated continuously. Repetition is the way. Then there is imprint, and you become unconscious about it. Suddenly it comes out of your mouth, Lux toilet, and you think that you are choosing. You are not the chooser. The whole education system is hypnosis. That's why for the teacher, a higher place is needed. And scientifically, it must be measured. Because there is a point. The way I am sitting here, this is the wrong point. This is not right. Your eyes must be in such a tension looking at me. In such a tension, not relaxed. Then you are hypnotized easily. Hitler used every proportion. He had a expert committee. How much distance from the audience and how much height. So eyes are rightly in the tension where they become easily hypnotic and sleepy. And then all the lights will be put off in Hitler's lecture hall. Only lights will be just on Hitler. Nobody can see anywhere else. So you are forced to see only towards Hitler. And then in a particular situation, a particular tension is created. In that tension, he will go on saying something for a time while. The things that he wants to put in you will be said later on when the whole idea has become sleepy. Then they simply move into your unconscious and they start functioning. Now they have invented subliminal advertisement. In a film, you see a film between two scenes. Just for a few seconds, the advertisement will be flashed. You will not be able to read it. You will not know even that what has happened. You will be simply seeing the film. Suddenly, for a few seconds, the advertisement will be there. You will not be consciously alert about it. Only 2 persons in 100 can feel that something has happened. Those who have very keen eyes, they can feel that something was in between. 98% will not feel, but the unconscious has read it. It has entered in you. There was one experiment about it in one American film. They flashed a particular brand of cold drink. Something new. Only 2% persons became aware that there was some advertisement. 98% were fully unaware. But in the interval, they went out and asked for the drink. Many people asked for the drink. They were not aware that there was advertisement. It was so fast. Hypnosis is all around. Education uses it, politics uses it, the market uses it, everyone is using. And if you are not aware, then you are a victim. Become aware. And if you become aware, you can use it. Not to hypnotize others, but to dehypnotize yourself. And if you can become completely dehypnotized, you are free. You are liberated. And there is no conflict between meditation and hypnosis. The conflict is in the directions. The process is the same. Enough?